Hi guys, welcome to our daily encounter. One of the most frustrating things is when you create something, build something, or purchase something for a specific purpose and it doesn't fulfill that purpose. Maybe you buy a drink expecting it to be sweet and it is only bitter. Or you could think of perhaps someone buying an air conditioner that only blows hot air or something along those lines. You invest into something, whether it's investing money or time or energy, and it just doesn't pan out like you expected. This is similar to what the Lord experienced when it came to Israel. In Isaiah chapter 5, we have the Lord speaking of Israel as a vineyard. He talks about all the hard work that God put into this vineyard, how he had prepared it, he put it in the right spot, he built things, a wine vat in it, and it says, and he built a tower in the middle of it, and it says in verse 2 there, then he expected it to produce good grapes, but it produced only worthless ones. So after all the effort, all the work that the Lord put into this vineyard, where it should have produced good grapes based upon all the work that he put into it, it only produced worthless grapes. And of course, this is a metaphor for Israel. Israel was planted in the land by the Lord. He had brought them out of Egypt, planted them in a good land, good soil. He had done everything to both nourish them, but also protect them. And yet, they didn't produce the fruit that God was expecting. Where they were set up to be a holy nation, a royal, a priesthood before him, to be a people who would demonstrate the holiness of God and exemplify the righteousness of God. Instead, they became worthless like the rest of the nations. They had become sinful, full of iniquities, injustices, and so on and so forth. And so what the Lord had invested in them was not producing for him a return. The return that he should have gotten from the work that he put into it. And as we think about this as New Testament believers, we must be careful that this doesn't become true of us. If you think about all that the Lord has invested in us, he had loved us. He sent his own son to die for us. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. He gave the most precious thing in all creation, his own son, his own beloved son, so that we could have a relationship with him. And then he's also given us his Holy Spirit. He's given us his word. He's prepared us. He's given us every means by which we can live a sanctified and holy life before him. And how tragic it would be if he found that the only thing that was coming out of our lives were worthless grapes. That we weren't producing the fruits that he had prepared us for. And of course, Jesus Christ himself speaks in accordance to this metaphor in John chapter 15. And there he speaks about the fact that the Lord expects much fruit from us. And we as branches, a part of the vine, are implanted into the vine so that we might produce much fruit. In John chapter 15 and verse 2, it says, every branch of me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. And every branch that bears fruit, he prunes it so that it might bear more fruit. You are already clean because of the word which I have spoken to you. Abide in me and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself unless it abides in the vine, so neither can you unless you abide in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me and I in him, he bears much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. If anyone does not abide in me, he is thrown away as a branch and dries up, and they gather them and cast them into the fire, and they are burned. If you abide in me, and my words abide in you, ask whatever you wish, and it will be done for you. My Father is glorified in this, that you bear much fruit, and so prove to be my disciples. And so we are connected to Christ in life so that we can produce the fruit for the Father, so that we can finally give the Father the fruit that he was expecting from, or at least calling Israel to have so many years ago. And now we can produce those fruits of righteousness, of justice, of love, of care for others. And the Lord can then receive a crop of fruit of life that comes from the lives that we live because we are connected to Christ. And it's only through Christ that this is even possible, as Christ says here in John chapter 15. So this is an encouragement for us to stay connected to Christ, to abide in Christ, to stay in communion with God through Christ, so that we can bear the fruit that God expects from our lives, and so that we don't become a great disappointment to Him, that He doesn't invest so much into us, even the precious blood of His Son, only for us to then produce vanity and emptiness, and worse than that, iniquity and sin and rebellion against Him. So let's be diligent to abide in Christ, to stay connected to Christ, so that we can bear fruit for the Father and be the vineyard that He deserves, the vineyard that He worked very hard and very much offered much for when He offered up His Son. So these are some things we can reflect on and think about as we do our reading today. With that, guys, I do thank you for watching the videos today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.